Okay, so I've heard this argument before, but I've
Mhm.
never really understood what the actual argument is.
Okay.
And so this is all you.
Okay.
But people say that Jesus was an immigrant,
Uh-huh.
so we should love everyone all the time and let them go wherever they want and do whatever they want and not have any laws and kill people
Okay.
because Jesus was an immigrant.
Because Jesus was an immigrant.
That-
Right.
I took that too far. If you're just
Yes.
watching clips, if you watch the last clip, that would make sense in context, but it doesn't make sense here, so forget I said anything. But anyway, Jesus was an immigrant, and
Right.
therefore we should just do whatever
Okay.
and let everyone be
Right.
happy wherever they want to be happy.
Right. Just no borders
Yeah.
anywhere because they're only just imaginary lines.
Right. That we made
that
up,
we made up.
Yeah.
So just let people just walk wherever they want to
just
walk.
like we made everything else up ever, and we, hold to those things. But
Right.
these things are also made up. So,
So forget it.
for,
All right. Yeah. So
what's the deal?
yeah. So they're deriving this from a story that we find in Matthew 2. Okay. And it's a
Okay.
story of Jesus. I don't say story. It's a real story. It's about Jesus. And so in Matthew 2 verse 11,
Real stories are stories too.
yes, they are.
Mhm.
And so in Matthew 2, you have the wise men that are coming to Jesus after he has been born. Okay. And so in verse 11, it says, entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and falling to their knees, they worshiped him. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And being warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned to their own country by another route. And then after they were gone, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, get up, take the child and his mother, flee to Egypt, and stay there until I tell you. For Herod is about to search for the child to kill him. So he got up, took the child and his mother during the night, and escaped to Egypt. He stayed there until Herod's death, so that what was spoken by the Lord through the prophet might be fulfilled. Out of Egypt I called my son. And so the idea of Jesus being an immigrant was that when Jesus was around 2 years old,
Mm-hmm.
wise men come, they come across Herod asking where, the Jesus, where Messiah is,
He
King
grew
of the
up
Jews
fast.
is. Yeah. Well, there's just, you just don't see, there's just no story between basically his birth and this.
Well, it all happens at the same time
right.
in the Christmas play
Yeah.
at
Well,
church.
let's just say the Christmas play gets some things wrong sometimes.
I feel like we've talked about other things that got wrong before too.
Yeah. The nativity scene is not always accurate. Let's put it that way. All right. Anyway. Yeah.
What a
Basically,
bunch of BS.
not all of it.
This whole religion's a joke.
My daughter is here. She look at you and go, your face is a joke. And so, but, no, it's not all a joke. All right.
It's all lies.
No.
Everything they told us.
Well, that may be true. Sometimes people tell us things that just aren't true. So that could be true. The Bible itself, no, not a lie. Bible's
Fine.
good. All right. So, yeah, we have basically Jesus' birth, Jesus going to the temple, and then this. So that's kind of what we've got.
Okay.
And so, all right, wise men come, they bring their gifts. Joseph gets a dream, go to Egypt. They, Mary, Joseph, and Jesus pack up, and they head out for Egypt. And so the idea of Jesus being an immigrant is, well, they had to flee from where they were,
Mm-hmm.
and they had to, and they went to Egypt. And if they did not immigrate to Egypt, then Jesus would have been killed. So he was an immigrant because they immigrated to Egypt.
Okay.
That's where they're deriving it from.
But Jesus was 2,
Yeah,
so he had no choice.
right. So you could say his family, but I mean, he was still an immigrant, right? His family, they're all going.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay. So how do we get from that to let everybody in?
okay, yeah. So, and I think that becomes part of the issue, right? Like, all right. So, the question for me is actually, was Jesus an actual immigrant?
Okay.
Because yes, in one way, yes, because he's going from Galilee to Egypt. Okay, so in one way, yes, but we're still all in the Roman Empire.
Oh.
So,
okay. So they were traveling between states.
Bingo.
Oh, gotcha.
It's
okay.
actually more like I had to flee within my own country.
Right. To a different part of my own country. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right.
Like everyone who's leaving California for other places because there's too many illegal immigrants there.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. Well, we also know it's not just because there's too many illegal immigrants. But
right.
I mean, but that is. I mean, it's part of it, right?
It's because of fires.
Yeah. Well, fires, economy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that thing, right? Cost of living.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Living sucks.
Yeah.
In California.
But just in California. Yeah.
I mean, they always say they like it, but you can tell they don't like it.
Well, my favorite is all the people that I know now who used to live in California, who've come back, who not come back, but who moved here, and were like, "Oh my gosh, this exists."
But you know what? We have people who used to live in California and still live in California that watch us every once in a while,
right?
And I think it's great there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
If you make over $1 million a year, but
right. Within stipulations.
Yeah.
So in one way, yes, Jesus was. I think probably a more accurate phrase would be he was displaced. Right. His family, they did have to flee because of persecution.
They went to Florida.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And so. So you're going to have some people that really going to say, no, he was an immigrant. He went from Galilee to Egypt. Others are going to go, well, but not really, because it was all part of the Roman Empire. So it wasn't like he went there illegally. He went there completely legal, right?
Okay.
Because all within the same territory. And what's interesting to me too is Jesus's family, when they're going from Galilee to Egypt, yes, they're having to flee because of the threat of persecution. Like that was real. Okay. But they did not leave as needy people.
Okay.
Because who had just visited them? The wise men?
Oh yeah.
And the wise men brought with them what?
Bunch of rich,
gold,
expensive stuff,
and frankincense and myrrh.
But all that was Jesus's, and he was only 2. Right. So his parents couldn't
touch it. It was like a trust.
Take it from him. Yeah.
No, I think we can very easily understand that they actually were given the provision they needed to go to Egypt.
Oh, okay, that was the point of those gifts.
It's interesting because we never hear of those gifts again. Right. And so my guess is that was what enabled them to make the journey,
gotcha,
to pay for everything, to be able to make, to have a living when they get there. And I'm sure Joseph as a carpenter worked once he was in Egypt.
How come I've never heard of frankincense except in this story ever?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's all throughout Scripture. Yeah. But you're like, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, but they were able to use these, all the different gifts to barter, to trade, to pay, to,
right.
it just allowed them
for actual hotel rooms.
Right. Could have used that beforehand. But anyway, no, it was because they were out of room. They could have, anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that, I think the argument that Jesus was an immigrant, therefore we need to allow just all immigrants in, I think that's a horrible reading of this passage.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the main point.
Yeah. And I think that's it. I think we can say Jesus had to flee. I think we could say Jesus was a refugee, if you were, within his own his own territory of the Roman Empire.
Mm-hmm. So Herod was like a governor.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he was referred to, even Herod was referred to as like the king of the Jews, right? And so I
thought Jesus was king of the Jews.
Jesus is the real king of the Jews.
Okay.
But Herod acted as the king of the Jews.
Okay.
Because he was there working with the Roman Empire.
Who's the current king of the Jews?
Jesus.